National Association of Graduate Teachers says it is disappointed at the inability of the Ministry of Education and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to resolve its grievances. National Vice President Angel Kabonu has hinted the Ghana Education Service management failed to adhere to the communique they signed.
The unions of the Ghana Education Service have raised concerns on grievances that have been left unresolved by the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. The second-tier pension scheme, payment of outstanding incremental credit for 2011 and 2012, non-payment of transfer grants and transportation allowance to teachers transferred from 2010 to date, and the 3-month pay policy on newly recruited staff, promotions and re-engagement remained unresolved after several assurances by government. According to National President Angel Kabonu, these grievances have been the major reasons behind strikes, demonstrations and petitions, and yet their redress remains far from sight.
Currently, I can say that the issues have not been resolved. Disappointedly, the attitude of the ministry, the attitude of Ghana Education Service, and the inability of Labour Commission to find solutions to the problem is absolutely very disappointing. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service have not even given us any call, let alone inform us as to what is being done on these issues. We have taken these concerns to the Labour Commission. For 2 months now, the Labour Commission have not found solution to the problem. And as we speak, teachers all over the country are agitating, wondering what their lot is under the current circumstances. We are very, very, very disappointed in the way affairs are proceeding. These are issues that you need to engage. These are issues that you have to get the determination to find solutions to, and we do not see that from officialdom. We do not see that at all.
He, however, hints the association would decide on a nationwide strike after a council meeting with stakeholders.
As a matter of fact, NAGRAT will not lie unconcerned with regards to the current situation. We will not. We have given due regard to the institutions that have been established by the state to address these concerns. But the attitude of these institutions, NAGRAT will refer this development to its council, and the decision of council will be made known to the general public very, very soon. I will not be surprised if NAGRAT goes back on strike. I will not be surprised at all.
The Wa Municipal Assembly has constructed a 6-unit classroom block for the Wa Health Assistance Training School valued at 305,103 Ghana cedis. It followed a series of reports by Joy News on the challenges faced by the school students and tutors.
Since its establishment in 2006, the Wa Health Assistant Training School has been operating from temporary structures, with tutors and students having to shuffle between the aged GES building and the regional hospital's canteen for academic work. The new 6-unit classroom block therefore comes as great relief. At a ceremony to formally hand over the school, the Wa Municipal Chief Executive Issa Kunuhu Putia thanked the chiefs and people of Peresei for the support given them in the acquisition of the land.
It will benefit the people. Because of this project, we've just been told that the Health Assistance School also has an accreditation to run general nursing program. The whole of the region, we don't have any general nursing school in the region. And this is an opportunity for us to have it here in Wa. And once we have that opportunity, our people will no more travel to Kintampo, Kumasi and other places to attain this general nursing certificate. they can have that here. And once the school is also here, the possibility of us retaining these nurses in one here is greater.
The principal for the WA Health Assistants Training School, George Senetum, said the facility signifies a rebirth of the school and commended Joy News for highlighting their plight.
Please, let's not rest on our hours. We still have to push and push hard. Perhaps if we make some noise, some reasonable noise, people will come to. And I'm sure this is what has yielded the dividend we are beginning to realize. And I remember, I don't know how the MCE, Honorable Nuhu Potieha, got wind, and I want to believe that he would have seen some of our clips mounted by Joy News, and that gave him the urge and then the motivation to want to get to the school.
The Ghana Chamber of Pharmacy has served notice that it will catch the supply of drugs to health facilities that rely on a national health insurance scheme for upkeep. According to the Chamber, the health facilities, mainly members of the Christian Health Association of Ghana and the Health Insurance Service Providers Association, are hugely indebted to the pharmaceutical companies. Earlier this month, you recall that the Christian Health Association withdrew services to subscribers of NHIS because managers of the scheme were indebted to the tune of 50 million Ghana cedis. The service providers say the NHIS owes them in excess of 7 months' service to NHIS clients and are struggling to raise the needed funds to pay for pharmaceutical supplies. Stanley Ajay, head of research with the Ghana Chamber of Pharmacies, joined me via telephone. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. Exactly how much are you owed?
In terms of how much exactly I own, what we can say for now is it runs into several millions of Ghana cedis, to the extent that for every expenditure accruing out of the National Health Insurance Scheme, the drug component is about 53%. So we are talking about, in some instances, where the arrest has been for 9 months and in some instances 6 months. So we are talking about millions of Ghana.
I see. And what's been the response in getting this money paid?
In terms of response, first and foremost, what I must to say is that it is the service providers that are indexed to the pharmaceutical distributors. And now, anytime you have a contract with a service provider, say hospital or health facility, and you supply drugs, and under the normal regime, credit is supposed to take like 2 months under the health insurance scheme. But this is a situation where it is now going way beyond 2 months, and not 3 months, not 4 months, 6 months, and as we speak today, facilities in Upper East, Upper West, some are indexed way back to 9 months ago. So that's the kind of situation you are talking about here. And now you go to a service provider you supply a drug to, and the only response is you've not received reimbursement from National Health Insurance Scheme, and they are therefore not in the position to pay. So that has been the situation. And the Health Insurance Authority too will also make a similar case to the effect they've not since received the statutory payments due them from the Ministry of Finance. So it kind of becomes cyclical and shifting of goals, posts, and the like. So that's the situation we find ourselves.
This must be affecting your business.
Extremely, especially in view of the current exchange regime we find ourselves.
I see. You've also threatened that you will cut supply of the drugs if these payments are not made. How soon are we going to see that happen?
Now, the intention now is effective August 1st. Now, under the credit regime, we are to operate with the health facilities. we are not in a position to go beyond 2 months. So any facility that is in debt beyond 2 months, then we will necessarily, of course, to stop dealing with them.
I see. Thank you very much, Stanley. Stanley AJ is head of research with the Ghana Chamber of Pharmacy. Well, now, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, George Kwekufori, says ECOWAS members should focus on having a harmonized investment law to improve interstate trade. Speaking to myself on News Desk ahead of the start of the ECOWAS summit expected to discuss the abolition of residency permit requirements, George Kwekufori noted the lack of a harmonized investment law for ECOWAS will lead to a worsening condition in the already precarious situation of foreigners taking over the retail trade.
Issue of ID cards or biometric ID cards to avoid maybe residency, so that when you go to any place you can go and reside. Fine. Okay. We have our sovereign laws. Apart from the ECOWAS protocols, we at Ghana and all the 15 member countries as well have their sovereign laws. And our sovereign laws supersede that of the ECOWAS. And so with the influx of foreigners issue that we have been discussing all this while, what we are saying is that once our GIPC laws, where all the 15 member countries also have investment laws within their various countries, we are dealing with different investment laws within the sub-region. And so we suggested, or we even put it on air, that once we don't have a harmonized investment laws within the sub-region, it will be very difficult for one country to ask the other to bend its rules for the other to enjoy, whereas you have a similar laws that you are applying in your country. So once we don't have this harmonized or a common law, i.e. investment law within the sub-region, you can't come and tell Ghana that we should bend our Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act for you to benefit from it. So until the ECOWAS heads of state comes out and say that we are now going to have one common investment law within the sub-region, then that will be okay. Aside that, it will be impossible for we as citizens of Ghana, even if the government and politicians accept that, we will not accept it because it's a sovereign law. We use the taxpayers' money for parliamentarians to come, for parliamentarians to enact those laws. So we will not sit down, bend the rules, and then ask politicians and heads to come and tell us that because we are asking people to reside anywhere that they want without going through resident permit and work permit, we are talking about sovereign laws that must be accepted by all.
Here's what the future looks like. Where would go through our borders without any hassle, or asked to only live in an ECOWAS member state for up to 90 days without proper visas. Now, the question I want an answer to is, could this be a threat to all the efforts you have put in fighting retail business, even those owned by citizens of ECOWAS or member states of ECOWAS? Could this be a threat to your businesses?
Not at all. Not at all. That is why I earlier said that once we have our sovereign law, i.e. the GIPC, which actually tells you that, and you see, the one thing that we have to get it clear is that UTA is not against foreign investment or foreign investors who are coming to invest in the country. Not at all. We are not against that. Investment is all about capital injection and transfer of technology. So we expect that if you are a real investor, these are the two major issues that you have to come in with. But trading doesn't need any technology before you come into do it.
The ECOWAS task force working on a single currency for member states has presented its recommendations. Vice President Mr. Arthur, who received the recommendations on behalf of President Mahama at the Flagstaff House, implored them to deliver within the time frame. Here's a report by Gifty Andopia.
The task force of ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program, chaired by Ghana's Finance Minister Seth Terkper, also has membership comprising Niger's Finance Minister, Central Bank governors of the 8 member states, the West African Monetary Agency, as well as representatives of the President of Ghana and Niger. The job of the task force is to rationalize institutions and revise a roadmap to the ECOWAS single currency program.
The heads of state agreed to set a goal for 2020 to meet the convergence criteria either before or by that date. So the work of the task force is to look at the actions that will be required. So there are 2 elements. First are the details of what has to be done, which is a revision. You'll recall from the presentation of our own budgets here at home, we often present the primary and secondary criteria, and that's the first element that was reviewed. The committee also reviewed institutional arrangements and their strengthening, and the third element was a roadmap, to achieve this goal.
An extraordinary session of heads of state and governments in October last year appointed Mahamudu Issoufou of Niger and President John Mahama to oversee a speedy creation of the common currency for ECOWAS. Vice President Emisa Arthur expressed confidence in the expertise available to expedite action.
Now we brought the governor for the BCIO so that we together form a strong monetary union. We should not exceed the mandate that the authority had given us, that the full union would be in 2020. And I know that we agreed on that. So I see that WAMI and WAMA are also here, and I know that we have the technical expertise within these 2 agencies to be able to work and achieve the 2020 target.
The recommendations come after the task force held its second meeting here in Accra. Details of the recommendation were, however, disclosed to the Vice President in a closed session. Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Flagstaff House.
Now, you're still watching news today. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased the policy rate from 18% to 19%. My colleague Abigail Adumanko is on the line to give us an update on this. Hello, Abigail. Do we know why it went up by 100 basis points?
Yes, Kamini. Basically, we're still experiencing some pressures on inflation. I think the risk to inflation is still high, and so the MPC decided to increase the policy rate by 100 basis points to 19%. And this is just to realign the interest rates in favor of domestic assets, and also to strengthen or make tight the fiscal regime that we have. They are projecting some positive growth in the coming months, and so this shouldn't really be a challenge for the business environment. Those are some of the reasons that the Bank of Ghana has cited for the upward adjustment in the policy rate.
Absolutely. I'm going to have you host the line. Let's speak with John Gatti. John Gatti is an economist and senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School. Hello, John.
Hello.
What's your view on this increment in the policy rate?
Well, it's just a reflection of the economic dynamics in the country right now. Bear in mind that we are using inflation targeting. So if inflation is going up and the associated cost of doing business in the country have also gone up, then the right thing to do is to change the policy rate to reflect these dynamics in the economy. So for me, it is the right thing to do from a monetary policy management point of view.
How do we see this affecting lending rates?
Well, there are 2 things. On the peripheral level, they should bring about increase in the lending rate. But when you do a deeper analysis, the understanding is that the commercial banks will go to the central bank to borrow money for their financial intermediation activities. But over the years, we have realized that most of the commercial banks rather engage in interbank lending that is among themselves. So lending or borrowing from the central bank is not a major activity for the commercial bank. And if that holds, then I do not think that the increase in the policy rate alone should trigger an increase in the lending rate.
But over time, we've seen that happen.
Yes, but the reason why I'm saying that is anytime the policy rate goes down, you do not see corresponding downward trend in the lending rate. And the reason they give is that they don't actually, much of their portfolio does not depend on borrowing from the central bank. So I think other factors must come to play before this should lead to any increase in the lending rate. Of course, there are other cost implications for the banking sector that they may take into consideration and use this increase in policy rate as a cover to try to increase lending rate if they want to do so. But I do not think that the 1% increase in the policy rate should trigger any significant development in lending rate in the country.
We'll leave our conversation here for now. Thank you very much. But Abigail is still over the telephone. Abigail.
Yes, Kamini.
Does the Bank of Ghana foresee this translating into higher lending rates?
Please come again.
I'm asking if the Bank of Ghana saw this as, or foresees this rather, as translating into higher lending rates.
Oh, not at all, Kamini. This, they believe, is 100 basis points, and so should not see rates going up. It's just a reflection of what is currently happening in the economy. Inflation just today was announced that is at 15% already, and so going upward on that trajectory, the Bank of Ghana is only putting in place a monetary policy to address the changes that we are having in the economy. And for them, they are anticipating that the proceeds from the cocoa syndicated loan and the Eurobond issuance would provide some significant support for the market in the second half of the year. They are quite optimistic that in the second half of the year, things would turn around. And they are also advising government to enhance revenue measures and also rationalize their expenditures so that we could achieve a fiscal deficit target, the 8.5% of GDP that they have given.
Thank you very much, Abigail, for that information. Abigail Ademanko-Enche is our business reporter here at And that'll be all for this. Thank you very much for your company. Before I go, I look again at the top stories. National Association of Graduate Teachers says it is disappointed to the inability of the Ministry of Education and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to resolve its grievances. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association says ECOWAS members should focus on having a harmonized investment law to improve interstate trade before abolishing residency permit requirements. And my name is Kemini Nyamani. I'm going to find more news on myjournalline.com. Good afternoon.